Hey, welcome everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started with today's CybHER Conversation. So welcome to this week's program. I am Katie Shuck and I'm the Executive Director, Executive Outreach Director, excuse me, I'm elevating myself to Ashley and Pam here. But I am the Executive Outreach Director for CybHER at Dakota State University. We are so thrilled that you can join us this week. Before we get started, I wanted to just quickly remind everybody that if you have any questions or comments you'd like to submit, you can do that through the Q&A that is at the bottom of your screen. I also want to show you our awesome new CybHER flat girl.
Oh, awesome.
Families. So if you would like to get one of these that you can then take a selfie with, post on social media, help us spread CybHER Girl around the world, just send us an email through our website. Or you can also submit your address and mailing information when you register for any of our programs, and we will send these out to you. We also have some amazing stickers. I don't know if you can see, it's hard to see them, that we can send out with you as well. So we have lots of cool stuff that you can get just for attending our programs and letting us know where to send that to. So we are thrilled to have you here though. Today we have an absolutely wonderful speaker with us, or professional with us, Dyann Bradbury, who is an IT security executive, nearly 15 years of experience in corporate information technology, compliance, and security risk management. We're also thrilled because we have worked with her before through our Rocket Girls CyberSpace Camp with our 11th and 12th grade students that we take down to NASA Kennedy Space Center, usually during the summer. Sadly, we weren't able to do that this year, but we are thrilled that we're still able to connect with Dyann and have her join us and just help to educate, empower, and motivate girls in cybersecurity, because that is the mission of CybHER. So, but without further ado, I do want to just kind of hand the program over to Dyann, and take it away, Dyann.
All right, well, thank you so much, Katie, and I want some of those stickers. I love that. I love that. In fact, I don't know if you can see this, CybHER.
Oh, yes, I have the same one.
Yes, I have had, I don't know how many hundreds of these throughout my lifetime. This is the best. It keeps coffee hot. I've got ice water in here now. It keeps it cold. It is awesome. So thank you so much for that. And thank you to Ashley, everyone at, and Pam and Katie, everyone that has been instrumental in putting on and starting this CybHER program. You are changing the world. I hope that you realize that. And because everything that we do throughout our life, if we do something positive, it has such a huge ripple positive impact throughout the whole world. So thank you for everything that you have done and you continue to do. You are changing the world. So thank you for that. And thank you for this opportunity. And thanks for everyone that has taken the time to dial in, to click in here and on the Zoom meeting. And I consider this a huge privilege to be able to speak with you today. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on me. We are here for you to learn and to empower you and to give you some insight into all the different career opportunities within IT, within cyber. And as I go through my career, and I'll do that briefly, but then I'll point out different areas that you may possibly be interested in. Because what I found out when I was at your age, grade school, high school, I really wasn't aware of all the different opportunities that there were within cyber. So as we go through this, I'll point little areas out, and if you have any questions, just do the questions. I think on Zoom, you can do a chat session or submit your questions online, and then I'll take some time at the end to answer those questions, and I'd be glad to do that. So I was born and raised on a farm in Nebraska, and I'm very grateful to have had that opportunity to be raised on a farm. We learned ethics, we learned right from wrong, we learned hard work. My father had 3 daughters, he had no sons, so the 3 of us girls had to do all of the hard labor and the hard work, but I'm forever grateful for that opportunity. My first real job was at a bank. I worked at a bank for 18 years, so I learned all of the things to go along with banking. It was in a small community bank. And I learned, you know, how banking worked, assets, liabilities, capital, balance sheets, everything, loans and so forth. And I remember this was in the late 70s, and I went to the senior vice president and I said, I'd like to take some college classes. Do you have any suggestions? And remember, this was late 70s, and he said, have you ever thought about computers? And I thought, that sounds interesting. He said, there's going to be a computer on everybody's desk within the next 10 years. And how insightful was that? The guy was ahead of his time. So I took my first class. It was Introduction to Computers and Bank Data Processing, and I was hooked because I learned at the very base level on how computers worked, how the electricity was converted at the power supply tier, how protocols worked, how the operating system interacted with the hardware, all of that. I wanted to learn as much as I could about computers, and then I ended up taking more classes on networking, advanced networking. I went to the local community college, because at that time I had gotten married. We were going to start a family, and I just was able to take night classes, and I loved it. At that time, we were converting our systems at the bank, and we worked with a bank data processor, and I said, well, just send me all the hardware and I'll do it myself. And I did it. I was very successful at it, and they offered me a job. So then I went to work for them, and I started out as phone support to support, from a technical perspective, the software that the banks were running to interface with the bank data processor, all these banks throughout the United States. So that's one career option for you. You could be a phone support to help people, help the end consumer of the business that you're working for. That's a very rewarding career because you're helping them, because usually when they're calling in, they have a problem, then you can help them solve that problem. But there happened to be a opening, because I thought, oh, customers, I learned a lot of customer service, and I learned customer services at the bank level too. But I thought, oh, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. And there was an systems engineering position open. So I applied for that, and I got it. I was the only woman out of 13 of us. I was the only woman. I got the job. Our main goal was to convert 250 banks from Nobel operating system to an NT operating system, and we had 18 months to do that. And we had, it ranged, our work was everything from running and terminating cable to upgrading the operating system at the server level, the desktop level, upgrading printers, installing all of the Microsoft product suite, the databases, populating databases, configuring Exchange servers, configuring SQL servers, databases, all of that, and then also third-party applications. So that's another career opportunity, an option for you, is to be at the systems engineer level, to be able to go in and set up a bank, set up another business with all their computer systems and the applications and the hardware to make them successful. That's a very rewarding career. You learn a lot. During that time, we were required to obtain our MCSEs, our Microsoft Certified Systems Engineer certification. And I did that, plus the MCP, Microsoft Certified Professional plus Internet. Throughout my career, I did not get a degree in college, but I got, I think, 8 certifications throughout my career. And I found that helpful. And those certifications were based upon what I was doing at that particular time in my career. So did that, we were successful. And then Y2K was over, and we were acquired by another company, another bank data processor. So then we were hired on at that new company to oversee all of the data centers throughout the United States of bank data processing for this company, plus the internal enterprise, the internal corporate network. So all the servers, firewalls, routers, switches, hubs, everything, printers, desktops, and then plus the data centers. So that's another career opportunity for you to be a network administrator, an enterprise administrator. And there's different facets within that as well. So you could be in charge of the firewalls and be configuring firewalls. You could be configuring databases or Exchange servers, or you could be looking at how to fix and keep desktops or laptops up and running. And now we have cell phones, smartphones. You could be working that department and help support that for the business too. That can be a very rewarding career for you. You could learn an awful lot about that too. So there's another opportunity. And then we were responsible for the data center. So the processing that would happen, that the banks would send all of their checks and their deposits in, and we would have to process all of that. Well, we were third level support. So if the person on call couldn't handle the issue or their manager couldn't, then we were given that call and we had to manage or to rectify it, to fix the situation or declare a disaster. So that's another avenue that you could also go into, is on the data center side, because there are many businesses that either have their own data centers or they outsource the data center. You could be responsible for that, making sure the servers are up and running, the applications keep up and running from an operational perspective. That's a very rewarding career as well. You could also be a developer too. You could write the code that this business is using. Let's take a bank, for example. They're using lots of different programs to process their automatic clearinghouse transactions or ACH transactions, their regular bank transactions. You could be writing code there. You could be writing code for smartphones. Writing code for games. Another rewarding career. So after working for that bank data processor, I went to work for a security consulting firm. And we did an assessment of a state, one of our, I'm not going to say which one, but of a state. So you could also do that. You could go on the auditing side and audit the IT processes, the security of a business or a state or a government. We happen to have done one for a state government. And we looked at everything from where they're housing all of their critical data. Where is that being housed? Who has access to it? Is it being protected? Is it being encrypted? All of those things from a security perspective. Who has access? How are you sharing that information? That's another possible career option for you. After that, I went and worked for an e-commerce service provider, and I managed their IT department. So there's another option. In the IT department, I had oversight of all the servers and all of the functions of those servers. So all of the database servers, that was the databases that were housing all of the e-commerce data, the firewalls, the switches, the desktops, routers, all of the IT infrastructure, email, antivirus, vulnerability scanning, and compliance. All of that falls in there. So that's another career opportunity for you. We were acquired then by a company, another e-commerce service provider called Digital River. And Digital River was a global company. And I was asked to work directly for the corporation and to build their IT compliance program. As at that time, since we were e-commerce, we were processing, transmitting, and storing cardholder data throughout the world. So we had to adhere to the payment card industry data security standard. So that fell under my purview. So I had to make sure from a global perspective, we adhered to that. And then also we were a publicly traded company. So we had to adhere to SOX, the Sarbanes-Oxley. So I had to make sure we were adhering to that. So to build an IT compliance program, to make sure you're adhering to all of those rules and regulations and laws and directives, you have to make sure you have controls in place, that you're looking at your security holistically, you're doing your risk assessments, you understand the data that you're responsible for, you understand how you're protecting that data, you have to understand how that data is moving throughout the world, really. So that's another career opportunity for you as well, is uh, on the cyber side. So from the Digital River then, overseeing all of that, I also had to oversee all of the intake of global law from a privacy perspective and a data transport perspective. Because when you have clients that, some of our clients were Microsoft, Lenovo, Adobe, some of the global players, and we were handling the credit card transactions for them. So we had to make sure we adhered to all the data privacy laws, data transport laws globally. So for example, if there was an individual from Russia that was purchasing something from one of our clients, we had to make sure we adhered to Russian law. The same thing if someone from China was purchasing something, we had to make sure we adhered to China law all over the world. So with that, I was able to do global travel. So I was able to travel. My responsibility was the United States, Germany, Ireland, Sweden, Austria, and Canada. So I traveled there many times throughout the year, was able to form very wonderful friendships and partnerships with the employees that I had an opportunity, privilege to work with. So that gave me the opportunity to work with people from all over the world. That was wonderful. We had developers all over India, Russia, Ukraine, we had developers everywhere, and I worked with all of them. Because from a compliance perspective, we had to make sure our code was secure, so we had to follow certain guidelines and had controls in place for that. We were scanning code constantly to make sure that it was secure, there were no vulnerabilities. So that's another career opportunity for you. So after Digital River then, I went to work for Ameritas, and they had created a position for me to build their IT security risk management program. So, and if you look at the career, my career path, it was kind of a natural progression because I had the technical background and I understood technology. I understand computers, I understand controls, I understand the business risk. And also with Digital River, I also built their risk management program. That was focused more on security and tax, on global compliance, transaction processing. So I built the risk program for that. So we looked at all of those different areas and we're able to look at it then from a holistic viewpoint. So at Ameritas, I focused on the security only. So I built that through the NIST framework, the National Institute of Standards and Technologies framework, and then I took it another level, more granular level, so we could have a more granular view of where the actual risk was. So for example, the first thing you look at is if your assets, if you have an inventory of all your assets, you know what computers you have on your network, because if you don't, there may be vulnerabilities on it. It may be a place where hackers can come in. Then if you don't know that that device exists on the network, you may be out of compliance with the operating system licensing, the list goes on and on and on. So taking a look at that and doing the assessments there, very, very important and another career opportunity for you. So that was from a work perspective. And this all tie in from a service perspective. Throughout my career, I was involved in an organization called InfraGard, which is a partnership between the FBI, public sector, private sector, law enforcement, and academia. And the mission is the protection of our nation's critical infrastructure from both physical and cyber attack. So my responsibility there as being president of the national organization was to build partnerships with like-minded organizations and then also other government entities. So we had built a very successful partnership with Department of Homeland Security on the infrastructure protection side of the house, very successful. We also built a partnership with Center for Information Security Awareness. I had served on the board of advisors there as well. So to tie those two together, is the importance that I found was to build partnerships with the like-minded organizations, because you're all working towards the same common goal, and that was protecting our nation's critical infrastructure. So our critical infrastructures are our power grids, our nuclear power plants, our 911 systems, our defense industrial base, and we needed to protect those from both a physical and cyber attack. So we needed to build partnerships because a majority of those infrastructures are owned and operated by the private sector. And government, Department of Homeland Security, is responsible for coming in and assessing those from an infrastructure for vulnerabilities, infrastructure perspective. So we needed to have a mechanism to build those partnerships. So you can see the importance then of that, building that trust with each other. Same goes with when the company that you're working for and the people that you're working with. So if you decide that you want to be a firewall administrator, or if you're coming in and you're a developer too, let's say you're a developer, those two folks need to have a partnership together, because you're working for the same company, but you have the same goal. You're trying to protect the company. The developer's writing secure code, working on that, and then the person that's configuring the firewall is preventing the bad folks from coming in. So you both need to know what you're both doing, so then you can be successful then as a company, as a team, to be able to thwart the attacks coming in. So I probably talked too much here. Katie, where are we? Do we need to stop for question and answer, or what do you think?
We do have several questions that have come in, and we also had a few that were pre-submitted. So I know Kanti is waiting for that. And so I want to introduce Kanti Narukonda, who is my partner in everything I do here at CybHER, so our outreach director, Kanti. And then I also forgot to introduce the rest of the people that you will see on the screen. So for those of you who are, this may be your first program with us, we have Doctors Ashley Podorotsky and Pam Rowland on with us as well. Both of them are professors at Dakota State University, and in 2013 they co-founded CybHER, and since then they have just taken this so many places, so we're thrilled to have them on as well. But Kanti, I'm going to let you take it away with all of those questions.
We have quite a list of questions, Dyann, and that was quite an impressive career of yours, and I'm so happy to see you again.
I'm happy to see you too. Yes.
So,
all you guys.
All our viewers, Dyann is awesome and she's very knowledgeable. So if you have any questions at all, just send them my way. Do not hesitate. So Dyann, our first question is, you talked about working at the bank, right? So did you like working at the bank, and what was your favorite part about working at the bank?
The people, the customers. Yeah, I did enjoy working at it, working at the bank, and it was because of the interaction with the customers. I really did. I enjoy working with people. Yeah.
Awesome. So because you have a background with working at banks, what coding language do banks use the most?
Oh, it was more on the COBOL, the Fortran, back when I don't know what they're using now. Because remember, that was back in the 70s. The protocol of the day was Burroughs Pole Select. And you probably haven't even heard of Burroughs Pole Select, but that was the protocol of the day. Back then, the banks were, we were enclosed. That's not the right word for it. It escapes me. We had our own networks. So the banks that did processing through the same bank data processor, right? That was the network. So we could only email between those banks. But you know what else was interesting? And this was back in the 70s, so keep this in mind, that there were comm servers. You use Burroughs Pole Select protocol. So there were comm servers, in the back room, and you could pull up the screen and you could see the data in plain text go through. So a bank down the line, Farmer Joe Schmo, you could see that farmer's transaction or that farmer's what have you. But only the banks could. Only the banks could that were on that line. Yeah, but that was back in the 70s, Times have
Very
changed.
interesting. Yeah, I don't think you'd ever see that today.
No,
I hope
no,
not. I
no, I hope
sincerely
not.
hope not. So, with regard to working with different countries, what
Yeah.
country or countries have the strictest privacy laws based on your experience?
European Union. European Union, yes. So when I left Digital River, we were just starting with the GDPR, the EU regulation. Before that, it was EU directive, I can't remember, it was 93/46 or what have you. And that was very stringent there as well. But yeah, EU. So what we decided to do was go with the most stringent, and then all the other ones, we would be covered with all the other ones. Russia is interesting too. Russia, you have to keep, you can transfer the data to the United States, but you had to keep a copy of it on a Russian server in Russia and have the government could have access to it.
Okay.
China's
Very
different.
interesting.
China's interesting too. Yeah.
So you mentioned that you had some experience with going to a community college.
Yeah.
So what was it like?
Oh, it was awesome, you know, because the classes were smaller, and there was one-on-one. It was cheaper because I was, you know, we were just starting out, we were just married, you know, we didn't have any money, you know, just whatever's the cheapest, you know, pay as you go. And I would only take a class or two at a time because that's all I could do, you know. Yeah.
So we have a question, a slightly different question. So this participant submitted a question to us. They say, I'm an adult who learned tech on the job since the 80s, and I'm going to start a computer forensics program in fall 2020. What
Wonderful.
advice do you have for mature learners who are just preparing to enter the field of cybersecurity and digital forensics?
Be open to learn. Be open to learn from the younger generation. Be open to be a mentor to the younger generation. Be open to the possibility of strive towards working together. Because we need to do that regardless of what age we are. We need to work together. And what I found is throughout my career, folks do work together, but you need to build that trust. You need to show mutual respect. You know, when I would go in and do a gap analysis on a new acquisition or something, and I'd sit down with the kid that's configuring the firewall or the guy that's the head of all development, or girl that's the head of all development, I sat down and built a rapport with them and built a trust with them, and was concerned because I knew and understood the importance of their job. Right? And you need to convey that to them, that yes, I know how important you, and all of the jobs that I had pointed out throughout when I was talking, every one of them is important to the company, to the success of the company. If you're a developer, if you're an admin, if you're configuring a firewall, if you're scanning code, all of that is important. All jobs are. So build the partnerships, build the trust, listen. No, you don't know everything. No, you don't know everything. No one knows everything. And everyone has a part to play in securing the network. Yeah. And if you're doing forensics, you're doing investigations, you got to go into it with, here, I'm not going to be accusatorial. I'm here to, learn to find out exactly what's going on. Because I've done a couple investigations myself, in the interviewing folks. And you can't be, watch your temperament, watch what you're doing.
So you mentioned you had a few certifications from Microsoft. So was it hard or was it difficult to get those certifications?
I took a lot of stuff. I got, the MCSC, I think that was 6 tests. MCP, I think was 1. CISSP, I got that certification. CISA, 2 PCI certs. SOX certs, certified SOX. GIAC, the SANS, GIAC, GSEC. They weren't hard. It's just, do the study, know the material, hands-on. You know, with the Microsoft, I installed all of their products. I configured all of their products. So I had the opportunity to have all that hands-on experience. You know, so that was helpful too.
And our final question is, what advice would you give to the youth, to the younger people that are watching this conversation right now?
You are stronger than you think. You are smarter than you think. You have everything inside of you to succeed. And that there is no one on the face of this earth that has the right to tell you what you can or can't do with your life. Because you are here on this earth, at this particular time in space, in history, in time, for a purpose. And what is in your heart and what's in your soul that you want to do and you want to strive for, you do it. You do it. There are people to help you. Stand strong, stand up for yourself. You can do it, and you must do that. You must. You are capable. You are capable. There is so much prosperity. There is so much help out in the world and the universe that you can do this. And we must work together, all of us, globally. We must. Yeah.
Thank you. That was fantastic advice.
Yes, we thank you so much, Dyann, for that great advice, because it is so, so very true. And I hope that each student on here really understands that you have a unique abilities within you, and we need everybody's perspectives. That's one of the reasons we continue to offer these programs. So we are thrilled. I am going to launch a quick poll here, though, for everybody to just fill out while I'm closing out with the final information. We are so very thankful to Dyann for joining us today. So thank you, Dyann. I also want to remind everybody that you can check out all of our previously recorded CybHER Conversations on our YouTube Learning channel, which we just reached over 100 subscribers. So thank you to those of you who have subscribed. So now we have a short link that is youtube.com/CybHER, and you can find us there easily and watch all of our online programs. Also, don't forget to let us know if you want one of the CybHER girls, and we look forward to seeing everybody next week as we feature Alyssa Miller, who is a security advocate, hacker, author, public speaker, and quite the expert at deepfake technology. So if you ever have wanted to know what deepfakes are, you're not going to want to miss next week's conversation. So thank you to everyone for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again next week. Have a good night.